Oh, it's 11:59 a.m. U.S. Hello, you what nuts and Humpty Dump nuts, and it was 3-1 nuts.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up, nuts.
Yeah.
Are you sad?
I'm not sad. I'm annoyed. Last night was the first night that I got hit with
Fuck
bad
hockey?
vibes, bad mood, and it kind of turned into people yelling at me on Twitter and made my mood worse. First unenjoyable night of the playoffs for me to this point.
That's Pete Blackburn. Sean DePaz is over there. Hi, boys.
It's a huge day.
What's that?
Thomas points it out in the chat. It's a huge day. It's going to be May.
Oh.
I don't know if I
Drake
ever told
May
you
Day.
this. Oh, fuck Drake May. I was, no disrespect to Drake May.
Clearly.
Huge NSYNC guy. Like growing up.
I mean, I was a huge
No.
NSYNC and Backstreet Boys guy.
Like, first ever concert, NSYNC and Britney Spears at the Ralph.
Fuck
Floor
yeah.
seats. As like a 4-year-old. I had marionette puppets of every single member of NSYNC as a kid.
No strings attached.
No strings
hell
attached.
yeah.
And I knew the no strings attached dance. And my mom used to be a bartender at a TGI Fridays. And if you remember the TGI Fridays back in the early 2000s, they were all like funny vests and buttons and balloons and shit.
A lot of flair.
Flair.
Famously.
Exactly. My mom competed in the flair competitions. I would go and I would tie balloons to I was such a little fucking. I don't even know what to call it, but I would go.
You want to call slur?
I was just going to say that. You want to call yourself a slur, Sean?
Kinda. I would go and like all of like the fucking like the staff would gather around. I'd do the little fucking dance with the balloons tied to my wrists and ankles because I was apparently a show pony. But I was a huge NSYNC guy growing up.
That's amazing. I mean, that's great behavior. NSYNC, phenomenal. That's how
Agreed.
we got a lot of Max Martin in our lives. Actually more Backstreet Boys with him, but yeah, just we were getting premium pop music those days. And if you were a hater on boy bands, you were missing out on a lot of really, really good stuff.
Agreed.
Similarly to, I'm going to invoke somebody's name in a nice way. When people were hating on Taylor Swift during like 1989 stuff, I had no time for that. I was like, she's the fucking current vessel for all the good pop music that we're importing from Sweden.
1989 was the real deal, man.
1989 was good. Summer
Style
Reputation.
is Taylor Swift's best song.
Style, great. Lot of good, a lot of just really good songwriting. But yeah, that heyday with Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, I would say had the stronger output overall.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I think it's I like using this comparison. It's the Derek Jeter, Nomar Garciaparra. Higher peak for Garciaparra, even if I feel like Backstreet Boys has outlived NSYNC, but at their peaks, NSYNC.
So
NSYNC had more
Backstreet Boys
range.
is Jeter for you.
Yes.
I
feel like Backstreet Boys still has much more like cultural, like much bigger place in culture now than NSYNC does.
I mean, NSYNC wasn't invited to sing for Trump.
That's true.
But Backstreet Boys wasn't invited to sing for the Trolls movie.
Yeah, I think like NSYNC, I would say, has more pull because they have the biggest star out of either of the two groups.
That's true, but that's
Which
also
is-
because they broke up.
Which is wild because he was not the best singer in his own group. JC Chazé was the fucking front man of that group, and everybody knows it.
Yep. Do you know what my first concert was?
Pearl Jam.
Yep.
Yeah. When we met, you'd only been to one concert. That's how I knew.
Yeah. Pearl Jam.
Now
That
you've
was
been
it.
to 5.
Pearl Jam's such a cool. I've been to 5.
I've been to
Yeah.
5 concerts.
I've been to 5 concerts too. I've been to 5 concerts in like a week.
that I know of. This week.
What was your first concert?
My first concert was Godsmack with
Nice.
the Deftones opening up.
That's
How about
pretty,
that?
That's pretty solid. It's
That
not
was
bad.
that was good, but I didn't really appreciate the Deftones at the time. I was like, get off the stage. I want to hear Sully and the guys come out and sing a bunch of songs where they're like, go away, get away from all of Godsmack's songs are just like Get away. I wish you were further away from me. A lot of proximity songs. The Police also did some of those. Pete wanted to call the police on the Boston Bruins last night because they're doing it again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know how much I'm subscribing to. They're doing it again, but I really would have liked for them to put that game away last night and not play one of the worst games that we've seen in the playoffs thus far. And there's been some bad games these playoffs. That game, for both sides, Bruins fans, Leafs fans, that game, I know hindsight's 2020. Leafs fans can say that they really enjoyed the overtime. The 60 minutes that preceded the overtime was fucking horrendous hockey. It was awful.
Ice wasn't good. You could argue the teams were not icing their best rosters. Goaltending was good.
Goaltending was
little
great.
pitcher's duel between Jeremy Swayman and Joseph Woll, who got in the lineup for the Leafs. And I get a feeling that the Bruins are kind of doing it again. I said on our overtime stream, because this game went to overtime, that if betting sites or DFS sites offered the thing where you could pick whether the final score is an odd or even number, if you could have bet this series goes odd or even games, going into overtime last night, I would have bet my life on it being an odd number, because either the Bruins were going to win that game last night and finish off the Leafs, or it would go 7. And that's kind of how I feel right now about it, where, yeah, something stupid's going to happen and it'll end up going 7. But there are so many ways that this can just get worse and weirder and more confusing. Let's start with Jim Montgomery, because he tweaks the lineup for the second time in 3 games. Fluto Shinzawa's got a great piece on it in The Athletic, basically saying when he messed around with the lineup going into game 3, they had just lost. They were looking for improvement. They were looking for answers. The Bruins shouldn't have felt like they were in a position to go out and try to improve something or change something too much going into last night. But he puts Grzelcyk back in the lineup for Kevin Shattenkirk, who Shattenkirk's been no great shakes. That's kind of been the story of him this year, but he also hasn't been terrible.
Solid on the power play.
There is pros and cons there.
Right.
And then he brings in Brajol for Johnny Beecher. And I thought the Brasso was good last night. I thought that Grzelcyk...
Brazo had one of my worst moments of last night. There was a 3-on-2.
Yep.
And he had a perfect shot, perfect opportunity to shoot the puck in a game where they weren't putting enough pucks on Ilya Samsonov. Joseph Woll. Well,
it was a similar number that they put on both goalies.
True. Had a perfect opportunity to shoot on him, throws it into the slot, and gets broken up. Like, you got to shoot the fucking puck.
Dude, for all of famously the Bruins had 2 shots on goal in the first period. They weren't getting a lot of chances on Joseph Woll or on Ilya Samsonov or on Martin Jones. But again, all similar opportunity. And with the own goals that were scored across the league last night, they didn't get many chances on Jeremy Swayman either. So they were really struggling to put pucks on absolutely any net. They had chances. Charlie Coyle hits the crossbar. JVR, and I want to say the first period, has it right in front of the net, waits 5 hours with it, and then passes it up. Brad Marchand misses essentially an open net. And I know that the puck kind of hit his stick a little weird or whatever, but for as few chances as they got, they had real chances to put the game in series away, and they didn't do it. Back to Jim Montgomery. So
last point. Okay. Well, I guess it's sort of related. The Brazo substitution, even if he was okay last night, like the passing up the shot, I can forgive it. They sucked on faceoffs. They were awful in faceoffs last night, and Johnny Beecher is really good at the dot. I mean, there's absolutely no chance that you can keep Beecher out of the lineup after what you saw last game.
Johnny, yeah, he's okay on the... Do you know who actually is leading the Bruins at faceoff percentage this postseason?
I do not.
It's fucking Johnny Beecher. I was lying when I said he was okay. He's been good at the dot. He was terrible in game 4. But to take him out of the lineup when he's still been your faceoff guy does not make sense. And then, I don't know, maybe you think like Matthews is gone, so whatever, it'll be easy. Faceoffs won't matter as much. Max Domi was fucking awesome at center last night. Good game. So shout out to what Sheldon Keefe is doing. But the 2 guys that entered the lineup, yes, Brasso ends up costing them in the faceoff department, and Matt Grzelcyk allows a very clean entry for John Tavares on the game-winning goal. And there were some guys standing around, Charlie Coyle maybe doing a little puck watching on that game-winning goal, but Grzelcyk fingerprints on the game-winning goal. You could point to the 2 lineup changes that Jim Montgomery made and say
Direct impact.
both of these had a direct impact on why you lost.
Yep, 100%.
So if the Bruins do blow this, you had a 3-1 lead, 2 postseasons in a row, blow it. I'll give the history lesson, by the way. This is the second straight year in which the Bruins have been up 3-1 going into Game 5 on home ice and then lost Game 5 in overtime. We know what ended up happening. And I'll add another thing to a player named Matthew.
No, true.
How about that?
First-year player named Matthew.
What's that?
First-year player on the team named Matthew.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I was like, I think Chuck actually had a thing in Calgary for a while before. Sean, you know where Matthew Nyes is from?
Phoenix, Arizona.
He used to be. Now he's from Utah.
Actually, this is Nyes' second year, isn't it?
He came in the league last year, but he's still a rookie this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's something that we threw around way earlier, kind of forgot about it. And then you brought it up today. You're like, do we reopen the book on what if they blow it again? Does Jim Montgomery with 2 straight, this would be a collapse.
Yeah,
2 straight postseason collapses where we all decided days ago the Leafs are stupid, dead, and thanks to Sean McIndoe, even bad. No excuses.
At the outset, we had this conversation, and I said 0% chance that the Bruins fire Jim Montgomery. Just based off of you look what he got out of this team during the regular season. We look and the absences and the losses for personnel. Got a really good season out of this team. It's very hard to imagine that they would ever fire him after that kind of season. 2 great regular seasons. But now you're in a position where if they lose this series, you're losing 2 straight series in consecutive years the exact same way, 3-1 lead, and it's a lot of self-inflicted wounds if you're Jim Montgomery. So I still think it's unlikely that he would get fired, but there is certainly a case.
I agree. We need to be, without being fence sitters, we need to be people who can wrap our heads around stuff. The moment we can't wrap our heads around an idea is the moment you get 2 new guys in here. And Sean can't be one of them, because if we can't wrap our heads around it, then we've muddied the waters too much. You're guilty by association.
People I thought you were about to hit me with, if we can't figure it out, no way he can.
I don't like doing consecutive shows about how smart we think we are. That's still, like, I was dwelling on that last night. I was like, I don't like that Pete declared himself not very smart yesterday, especially when it was relative to
Allow me to do it.
Allow
me to do it, because it sets the bar lower.
I would. At least we are not getting on here being like we are the smartest podcast.
Yeah, that's the worst thing.
That's true. It's better to do that. But you're aware that you've also got that dog in you, as they say.
Right, but I like for it to catch people by surprise.
Be like, does that dog bite? He knows he's not supposed to, but kind of dumb. He might get you. We are joined now. I forgot to even say this guy was going to be on the show because we were in our Boston Bruins feelings, by the great Greg Wyshynski of ESPN, The Drop, Puck Soup, and coming soon. Tell us about this project you want to say.
What project are we talking about?
I'm just fucking with you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No,
unless you have a project.
It's fine you didn't mention me. There's a lot going on. It's completely fine. We got the Bruins, falling apart before your very eyes, and all sorts of fun and merriment going on.
So let's run it back. Let's ask you the same questions that we just kind of discussed. Is number one, do you think the Bruins are going to fall apart and choke in the exact same way that they did last year? And if that happens again, do they fire Jim Montgomery?
Oh God, I hope not, because St. Louis would hire that guy in like a millisecond if they did. Listen. They were saying a lot of stuff before the game yesterday, as relayed on the ESPN broadcast, about like it's different now. We realized the error of our ways. We were really scared of losing last year, but now we're excited about winning. And then they just did the same damn thing that they did last year. I tend to believe that they're going to be okay. But I don't know. Like, I'd feel a lot better. It's funny. So when the series started, if you had said Leafs in 7, I would say that is insane. There is absolutely no way the Maple Leafs are winning a Game 7 in Boston. Now I'm thinking they probably will. Like Boston is they're in their head so much playing at home and being and facing adversity and thinking about what happened last year in the first round that, incredible as it might sound, I would actually give the Leafs the advantage in a Game 7 in Boston.
Here's my question, and I was going to have it John Cooper voice, regardless of whether the Bruins won or lost last night. We'd be talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
What John Cooper does when he complains. He says, "I was going to complain about this anyway."
Skirt.
You got it. You got it. Okay.
What's the deal with women? Is my question.
Hold on. If you're doing the Cooper cadence, you have to do the Cooper cadence, which is, what are we talking about now? What was the subject you were going to talk about?
I was going to say, I'm trying to, whenever I'm watching the first round, it's gleaning season. You glean things about teams. If the Bruins, even if they won,
so the way you have to do it if you're doing John Cooper is, so essentially the game. Okay. In the first round, it's gleaning season.
That's so good.
That's the best impression of anyone I've ever said. Sean's dying. Like, that's so good.
No. John Cooper gives every press conference like he's giving his 14-year-old like the sex talk. That's how he approaches every press conference.
I love that. Kind of like the way that Mike Tomlin gives every press conference like he's a dad who just caught kids drinking and he's sending them all home. And he's not like screaming at them or anything, but he's like,
don't care.
Here's going to happen.
Tell your parents.
Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to call your dad. Your parents are going to come pick you up. You guys are all going to figure it out yourselves, okay? You guys got that? That never happened to me because I famously didn't have friends. But what could we even glean from the Bruins and apply to other stuff from this series? Because I think that this Bruins-Leafs thing is just so specific to these two teams and what they do against each other that I don't know if I come out of this series and be like, oh, well, Marchand's hot and this is happening and this is happening. And with all the other series, I feel like I can learn something about these teams. Am I crazy for that? Or are these two in their own world where they just take turns doing dumb shit?
So essentially you're asking, like, does anything in this series inform what either of these teams will do against the Florida Panthers?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, basically we have to play pop psychologist, right? So if the Bruins survive this, do they then now have the mental fortitude to overcome any adversity against their tormentors from last season? And the answer might be yes. Like, Game 6 is such an enormous test for this group that, like, I feel like if they can close out the Leafs, they'll feel a lot better about themselves. And I've been saying since the beginning of the playoffs that if the Leafs somehow get past their tormentors, the Boston Bruins, it's Caps Penguins the year the Caps won the Cup. Like you exercise that demon. It is the wind in your sails as you can now float freely to the conference final. Like I truly believe like whoever comes out of the series is going to have a real mental advantage in the next round. Not like personnel advantage, probably not goaltending advantage, but a mental advantage for sure against the Panthers.
Well,
that's crazy to me.
I think the Panthers are the only team in the conference that could beat the Rangers. I don't know where you guys are on that.
I think the Panthers are the best team in the conference.
I
just think that they're the most built for playoff hockey, and they're just like that's interesting to me because I look at this series and my stance right now is I want the Bruins to win the series, and I have no expectations for them in the next round just because I think the Panthers are so much better than the Bruins and the Leafs, and I just expect them to win and go to the Eastern Conference Final.
Yeah. You said that in the – do you want to comment on that?
No, I think that's right. I do think that there's a reality in the multiverse where the Bruins grind out a 7-game win over the Lightning, over the Panthers, and like it's 3 overtime games and they win 2 of those overtime games kind of thing. But that would be a surprise if it happened. But I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility.
You mentioned the lineup disadvantage and disparity. The Maple Leafs, by my count, have played 6 good periods. Actually, let's say, 5 or 6 good periods. All but one of them have been without Austin Matthews. At what point do we decide that guy's the problem?
There you go. I tweeted it out last night on X, formerly known as Twitter. The classic Bill Simmons Ewing theory trope of how the Knicks used to play better when Patrick Ewing was hurt.
Yeah.
Now, granted, no one knows what Ewing theory is in 2024. And also, I tweeted out a screenshot from page 2. So I think people were really put off by the yellow background and the black text and didn't actually read the thing that I quoted. But yeah,
Bruins
the
homer.
theory is that if your best player is hurt, the other guys play better. And maybe that happened last night. I don't know.
definitely believe that with goaltending. I for sure think that like you put an asshole in net and everybody else will stand up a little straighter, get their posture right.
Well, we had Sean McIndoe on earlier this week, and he said, like, the Leafs play their best hockey when nobody believes in them and when it's believed that the Leafs should struggle. That's always when they play their best hockey.
But that's every year since '67.
But I'm just saying,
It's
like,
cool.
Are we approaching healthy scratch Austin Matthews for the benefit of the Toronto Maple Leafs?
I hope not, because now we can't even have the fun that would have been if that would happen, which is Austin Matthews is going to play in Arizona next year. We can't even do that anymore. So what's the point in scratching him? Exactly.
That was a complete joke before anybody fucking
You did say
comes at my
Arizona,
throat.
and you wrote on
Yes.
Arizona this week and the mess that was the Coyotes. People forget they used to play in that state until they moved to Utah.
Yeah.
What was that reporting like? And was that like a week's worth of work, or was that like years worth of like, there's all this shit being said. I guess it's time to write it.
I mean, it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. I mean, like for me, and I wrote the piece with Emily. I hope people checked it out. A lot of people checked it out yesterday and read most of it, which made us very happy.
How do you know how much of it they've read?
It was good stuff. So I've been covering this Coyote stuff since like, I was up till 2 a.m. watching Glendale City Council meetings in 2010. Like it sucked. And so I have sort of that intrinsic knowledge of how things have gone down with the franchise. But in putting that piece together with Emily, I mean, it was very much like a last few weeks type deal. Like when it was clear that the deal was going down, and we both talked to Ryan Smith, the new owner in Utah, and talked to a bunch of people on background about how the Coyote situation played out and how this transaction worked. And it's an interesting story. I mean, we definitely cover a lot of the things that people have paid attention to with the Coyotes, like not paying your hotel bills and the son of the owner having input on whether or not Shane Doan should be the president of hockey operations and stuff like that. But it was also just really interesting to see how the whole thing with their owner, Alex Morello, played out, in the sense of like, you got to give Gary Bettman his flowers, man. He came up with a scheme to get a guy not to sue the league to prevent the team from moving to Utah, and have him believe that he can reactivate the franchise if he gets an arena built that no one believes he'll ever get built. Like that's some pretty good inception on Gary's part, I think, in getting this deal done.
It certainly sounds like you don't believe that Morello is going to get a second opportunity within that exclusive window. And I mean, with all the stuff that is coming out and is probably still going to come out in the future, like the public hates that guy, including everybody in Arizona. So like, do you believe that there is no chance that he gets a team again?
I won't say no chance, because he seems pretty determined to get it done. But there's like 3 things that are kind of in the way. One is that everybody distrusts him. I can't go as far as to say hate, but there's a level of distrust there, not only between him and the public, but him and the municipalities he's going to have to work with. 2 is that this land auction, which was the whole gambit to them trying to get a new arena. I was talking to some sources in Arizona who said, well, now you're going to have more people trying to bid on the land. They were hesitant at first because they didn't want to be seen as the people who drove the Coyotes out of Arizona. But now that the Coyotes are leaving, like they might just bid on the land anyway. And then the third thing is just like the enormity of the project and getting it done on time. And by time, I mean the timeline the NHL has spelled out. Don't forget, it's a 5-year window to reactivate this team. The league's got to know a year and a half before the team can reactivate that they're going to do it. And, the idea of pulling off this massive project in that span when, conservatively the some of the projects they're talking about weren't going to get done until 2027. I don't know. I'm a healthy skeptic about this coming to fruition.
What do you thought of the first round of the playoffs, and what do you think has been the most disappointing series? Because last night, Jets and Avalanche concluded, and I'm going to remain pissed at that series for a couple of weeks.
I would agree, man. And probably because
baby.
I picked the Jets. That sucked.
Same.
Yeah. Well, maybe the thing we're learning is that like if you're hot to end the season, it doesn't really mean shit. You know, you look at the Jets, you look at the Capitals, like it's the Islanders, like
We're
it's
really
all
saying that the Capitals were hot to end the season, or
scorching
was
hot,
everybody just
like
pissing
yeah,
on
like
themselves?
just the hottest of hot, like sizzling, like surface of Venus hot. Um, the Jets were probably the biggest disappointment in the sense that the thing that they were supposed to do, which was defend well and stop pucks with their Vezina winning goalie, didn't happen at all in this series. And so from that aspect, you feel like you were sold a false bill of goods. And the tricky thing with both the Rangers and the Avalanche right now is like, they beat up on some pretty bad teams. So which one do we believe in more as the juggernaut? Like, are the Rangers really that good, or did they dismantle a Capitals team where like Ovechkin is, basically should have an oxygen tank strapped to him at some point in the series because he's gassed so much? And how good are the Avalanche in beating a Jets team that simply had no defensive structure and a goaltender that having maybe the worst 2 weeks of his life? By the way, we're all proud Americans here. It's on the record. We all know it.
Yep.
Who's your Olympic goalie right now with Hellebuck being as bad as he was?
Connor Hellebuck.
Is it still Hellebuck?
Yeah.
Why? Not Ottinger?
Well, so I wanted to ask
Jonathan
you,
Quick. Hello.
Jonathan Quick. No, I mean, Jake Ottinger has had a real up and down season this year. I love Jake Ottinger. I believe in Jake Ottinger. Connor Hellebuck has been the best goaltender in the league for my money for a couple of years at this point, which is why I'm so stunned that this season has gone the way that it went, or ended the way that it went, because Connor Hellebuck has played behind some really bad Winnipeg defenses for years, and they finally learned how to play defense, and then they just fucking forget in the playoffs. I wanted to ask you the question, how, like, if you had to make a chart of how much you blame Connor Hellebuck for what just happened.
A blame pie.
The blame pie.
Yeah.
How much are you allotting to Connor Hellebuck?
So I'm walking out of my hotel room. I'm looking down on the floor. There's a USA Today there. The blame pie is on the front page. And how much of that pie is Connor Hellebuck is what you're asking me?
Yes.
I'd say like 58% of the pie.
Wow.
And then the other, there's like 30% of the pie is the Jets defense. And then there's like 4% of the pie is the pressure of playing in Winnipeg. And then like 2% of the pie is other, I guess. Does that add up?
That's
Probably
a good
not.
blame pie. That's so NBC Sports Boston, we do blame pies all the time. That's the best blame pie I've ever heard. And I agree with him getting over 50% of it because he is why you win games. The way that he does his thing and you fucking win. And the defense is good sometimes, the defense is bad sometimes. It's usually not fucking horrible, but there were 15 goalies in the first round so far who have played 3 games. The worst one was replaced. Mm-hmm. The second worst one was swept. And the third worst one by save percentage is Connor Hellebuck. So it wasn't that Connor Hellebuck wasn't himself. Connor Hellebuck was, and we're not saying he's a bad player. Connor Hellebuck was fucking bad in that series. And that's terrible. Why it was 5. Like, if he was human, then I think the series would still be ongoing and we'd be saying, man, multiple games of him giving up 3 or more goals. That's kind of a surprise, but I guess Avalanche has the best offense in hockey. The Avalanche have the best offense in hockey, so it kind of makes sense. But no, we're talking about 24 goals in 5 games. Stunk. He stunk, and I'm pissed at myself because I should have said Joseph Woll should be the starter because he's from Missouri.
I mean, Jeremy Swayman's in the conversation too.
Well, I was going to say, so to your point though, Pete, like, I wanted to believe that Hellebuck could be a difference maker in this series because of how incredible he was during the regular season. Like, the guy earned the Vezina without question. Mm-hmm. But in looking back at his playoff history, like, how many times has he won them a series? Like once, and it might have been like one of his first playoff runs. Like, I remember looking at it and handicapping the series and saying to myself, that's kind of weird. Like, I consider this guy to be Hashekian, but he's not necessarily won them a series on his own. I think Demko has. I think Swayman could in this series. Mm-hmm. And I think Ottinger, if he hasn't, has certainly shown that in a pressure playoff situation when Pete DeBoer hasn't just like ground him into dust by overplaying him by the end of the regular season, that he's pretty good too. So in a pressure situation, elimination Olympic tournament, like, how much do we trust Hellebuck behind a U.S. team that, frankly, we don't know how good defensively they're going to be because those kids have to play defense. They don't know how to yet.
I get the argument, and I just don't know how many series I would look back and say I expected Connor Hellebuck to save or win that series for the Jets, given the matchups, given how bad the defense historically has been. They were supposed to be much better this year, but they gave up more than 40 rush chances in 5 games.
Yeah,
and
terrible.
Horrible. And I didn't look at much of that series. I know that Hellebuck wasn't good. I certainly wouldn't say he wasn't good, but I watched that series and I was like, I don't know how much I'm saying that this is his fault.
But when your best asset is your goalie,
Yeah.
like, isn't that supposed to like plaster over the cracks in your defense? Like, isn't that supposed to
For
be
sure.
the thing that you can overcome a poor defensive? And again, part of this also is like you say rush chances, and we're not defining what that means. It means that Nathan fucking McKinnon's coming down the wing. Like, these aren't just rush chances, right? So like there's a bit of that too. I don't know. I still think he gets the majority of the blame. Like, he was terrible in this series in a way that shook my faith in him being the U.S. starter. And to DJ's point, I mean, Jake Ottinger's got that John Quick dog in him. He's the guy that flippy flops around and makes crazy saves and does the desperation thing. And I don't know. I think if you're asking me now who's going to start for the U.S., I'm probably putting Otter, then maybe Hellebuck, then Demko, then Swayman in that order. No slight to Swayman, but I think, again, we have a blessing of riches.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're having this conversation and not what Canada's dealing with at this point in time.
Why? What happened? We on the Hellebuck thing. This is a good postseason for good players who it turns out are bad. I'll go Connor Hellebuck, Austin Matthews because they're better without him, Joe Pavelski, who I think retired at some point during the series and we didn't find out about that. Bad players who we think are good, Alex Georgiev, keep the change. And are there any players that have particularly struck you as, holy smokes, what's going on with this guy, good or bad?
I mean, he's not a bad player, but I think he's kind of punching above his weight, and that's Vincent Trocheck. Like, I run hot and cold on Vincent Trocheck, and I think that in watching a lot of that Rangers Capital series, much to my detriment, he might have been their best forward in the series. So, like, I would say he's doing better than I anticipated. I'd actually probably throw Jack Roslovic in there too. Did he come? Was he a guest on your show? I forget if he was one of the many Blue Jackets that appeared on What Chaos.
I was gonna say, yeah, he's like the one that we didn't grab.
But I think he's actually done really well in their top line. Better than I expected. So those two guys on the Rangers are two that are, in my opinion, punching above their weight right now.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
A request from the chat, and they directed me to this story, and I read it while having a nice conversation with you. Somebody said to ask about the Calder Trophy because ESPN polled some PHWA voters last month, and they had Brock Faber as the leader over Connor Bedard. This has been a common point of discussion on this show. Sean, our producer in particular, has no time for the Brock Faber people. Are you a Brock Faber for Calder kind of guy?
Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to say who I think should win or did win. I don't want to get yelled at.
Far be it from voters to ever write a why I voted this way.
I don't know. It creates a lot of tension behind the scenes. Anyways, so I would say for me that I have to separate my expectation of Connor Bedard from the performance of Connor Bedard. I don't think that he had the kind of season that blows me away in the same way that some of the other phenom rookies had in their first seasons, but inherently it was a great year. And as good as Faber's been, and the ice time and the effectiveness and him playing like a pro in his first year cannot be ignored. And I would not be upset if he won. I got to admit that, like, his age and the absolute dog shit team that surrounded him, to have that performance from Bedard, the injury included, probably means that he should win the Calder.
I think that people will roll their eyes too. I think like casual hockey fans or people who know that he missed time will be like, why they still gave it him even though he missed a bunch of time. He was still, I thought, so much better.
There's no
casual hockey fans have no fucking idea who Brock Faber is, though.
That's true.
That's true.
They'd be more surprised if Faber won than if Bedard lost.
Those are our kind of fans. We're targeting them.
Are you looking at his plus minus at all, considering that?
Who? Bedard?
Bedard, yeah.
Yeah, he's probably got a bigger plus minus than the fucking San Jose Sharks this year because the Blackhawks are terrible. And also, no one's telling him to play defense. Who was asking Connor Bedard to play defense in year one? Just go out there and score.
They don't even let him use the iPad. They're like, get out there and score.
Yeah,
Easy
exactly.
peasy. And he fucking does it.
Exactly. Yeah.
He does everything that's been put on his plate. You mentioned the Sharks. Where do you think Celebrini goes?
Where do you think he goes?
Have you been polling?
Where do you think?
What's your poll? What's your poll?
Where's Bettman sending him?
Yeah, are we expecting this to be some sort of like Indianapolis Colts situation where the Sharks get him, but he doesn't want to go there? Is that what you're trying to imply?
Colts is. It's interesting. You're old for saying Colts. Kids these days would say the Chargers.
Giants. Oh yeah.
Well, I don't recognize the Chargers as an NFL franchise.
Why?
Why?
Because they're a Chargers fan.
I mean, they have nice helmets. That's it.
They do have nice helmets. I do want to follow up on it. I forgot to, while we're talking about other shit and getting off track, how can you tell how much of your story people have read? Are you just saying it based on responses that you're like, you didn't read the story? Or does ESPN have some like metrics that say, hey, they didn't get to this graph, so Emily, if you want to get that higher in the story next time?
Everyone who reached out to me on Twitter, I responded by asking what was the first word in the 53rd paragraph, and most people knew it. It's there. It was the THERE. So I knew that they had spent enough time reading it to get to that point in the story. No, there's like metrics and shit, and this is how we know that we did a good job. Is they tell us how much time is spent, and time spent is a big deal for me because going back to the Puck Daddy days at Yahoo, like, we would always try to figure out ways to show that we were doing better than other blogs at Yahoo. And typically, like, from a traffic perspective, we were only behind the NBA and NFL blogs, which is pretty dope. But like, one of the things was time spent. Like, we led all the blogs in time spent reading the stories. But that's only because like I wrote 5,000 word stories like all the time. So people just got stuck in this quicksand of verbiage and stuck on the blog. But in this case, I think they read the story that Emily and I wrote because they liked it.
Juicy. Yeah. It's juicy. Speaking of some juicy stuff.
Wait, to go back to your question, I hope he goes to San Jose. That's a moribund franchise, to use a only in journalism word. Like, they need something. They need something to get people excited, to get them back to the Shark Tank. Like, I love when that team is good. I lived out there for 2 years. It's a really cool fan base when the team is worth a damn. And right now, like, they're garbage. And they've got some good pieces. Like, the Eklund kid's good, but and Will Smith is gonna be great. But like, they could really use Celebrini there, and I hope that they get him.
So I wanted him for San Jose, but then they fired Quinn, kind of a David Quinn guy. I thought it was weird behavior to fire him that early into a process where clearly they were supposed to suck. So now I'm kind of a free agent.
Now, your David Quinn-ness stems from his time in Boston, or is it because you like him as an NHL coach?
The third option, I just like him personally.
Okay.
So I'm biased.
I think there's a lot of people I like personally that may not necessarily be cut out for the NHL.
Yeah. That's like NHL in a nutshell.
I'm not.
Get to know people who aren't amazing.
That would actually make you a great GM. I like this guy. He's my coach.
That's very true. Last a very long time. But I think that David Quinn, and not to like go through his Wikipedia page, I think that he's had a couple of stops in the NHL where he probably would have assumed that the team would follow the same plan that he was supposed to be following, which is, hey, we're going to have a couple of lean years and it's going to go this way. And he's out before they start to add, where they're still selling at deadlines, giving away players this year. I mean, there's absolutely nothing he could have done this year. So you might as well have fired him a day into the season.
Well, that's the hilarity of it, right? Like, the reason he's fired is basically they didn't want to be that terrible. They wanted to be terrible, but not that terrible, right? So it's like, it's like the mad scientist who creates a monster, and he's like, I've created a monster. And then the monster breaks through the wall and starts marauding the countryside and like eating all the villagers. And he's like, what have I done? That was the Sharks basically under David Quinn. Like, it was just a team that was supposed to be bad, that was just epically bad. And like, they couldn't find any justification to keep him around because the young players weren't playing well and the team had no culture and everything else. It is kind of amazing to think that like the guy did his job. He made them as bad as possible, but he just made them worse than they wanted to be.
Yeah, I mean, he made them horrible, but they were only 5 points worse than the Blackhawks. And like the Blackhawks do have some identity. They have they have a future in Connor Bedard. Sharks, you're right. Like the Sharks have no fucking identity right now and no real like direction. Like even the hurdle trade, you're like, what's happening with this team in its current state? So yeah, I think you're right about that. I also don't think that David Quinn's a very good coach.
I don't think he's a good coach, but he sounds like a nice guy, according to some people we know, Pete.
You don't need to be here. All right, I'll defend him again. You don't need to be a good coach. We're fucking talking about fucking Jim Montgomery bringing Matt Grzelcyk into the lineup. Everyone likes that guy. Guest of the show, Jim Montgomery. Also a person that this show likes very, very much personally.
You know what's going to be the real challenge if you don't have to be a good coach is when the Kraken hire Bilesma.
Then I said that to DJ this morning.
Oh yeah, that's gonna happen.
We're gonna find out a thing or two about coaching in the NHL.
Before we get you out of here, we're big on behavior grades. We like grading behavior.
Okay.
The Carolina Hurricanes and their current postseason fascination with just the singular word cry.
Do you know about this?
Yeah, of course I know. God, I'm terminally online. Of course.
I was gonna say,
now,
who we talking to?
Do you watch hockey?
I am terminally online, but then like I'm watching like your interview with Katie Nolan, and like Pete's mentioning shit that I don't know, and then it makes me feel old.
Pete's on a different wave.
Know.
I don't know if it's better or worse. He's just on a different wave online wise.
Yeah, I must be getting served different things than you.
I mean, if you speak about something, the phone listens and it still gives it to you. I still have not gotten one Girthmaster thing. Sean, you getting any Girthmaster?
I have not gotten any.
It's been a few days. Content. I think that it was a brief window for the Girthmaster.
He's toned it down a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know if any of it was him. I think it was people finding out about the Girthmaster.
It's all about the algorithm. Like Baby Gronk. You guys get served something, and I get served like Billy Corgan's going to have a reality show about his wrestling federation. Like that's the shit I get served.
So we're more on the same wave, and it's funny that
to be fair, I'd rather have the giant penis.
Just first time for everything. But that you scoffed and were appropriately offended by me asking if you had seen a silly hockey thing that happened online. If this were back in the day, and this isn't to say that we've all peaked too soon, 10 years ago when the internet was the Wild West, I for sure would have found out about that through you.
Yeah.
You would have been like back when like there were only 3 places to get weird shit hockey-wise. I would have only known it from Puck Daddy.
Well, but the thing that we did was we told you like what, not only like, hey, look at this, but also here's why you're looking at it and why it exists, which is still a thing that I do at ESPN and we'll probably do about this stupid t-shirt. But like, that's the, again, not to get all cranky old guy blogger, but like, that's the thing I hate about the way things have gone. It's just simply like, we're sharing the thing that we've already all seen, but there's no value added to it. And that sucks. You know what I mean? So like, you know, like you guys did the Kings jersey the other day, right? The jersey foul from the Kings game. Was it Suck Me Off?
Suck Me Off. Yeah.
And then incredibly, and again, this is why What Chaos exists. You added value to the Suck Me Off jersey, and so you know that's what I wish more people would do, is not simply just share something or point at something or be like, here's a thing on my hastily AI created blog that'll get on the Google algorithm. But like actually like took 2 seconds to be creative about talking about it or finding out why it exists. So the thing I like about that shirt is the one, it's sort of reminds me of the 2 girls on TikTok who go to restaurants and go to Carbone and talk about how poor people are and why they can't eat a Carbone like they do, because cry about it is basically a trademarked phrase from them. And then the other thing is that if you buy the shirt, then the national diaper, whatever the fuck, gets a portion of the proceeds. And that's like, as a father of a 4-month-old, like diapers are super important, and people don't have them in some cases. So like the idea that it's helping to create this, diaper depot thing for people that need them is pretty dope too.
It's amazing. And yesterday we were talking about the fact that the Mark Stone jersey, the LTIR Mark Stone jersey, we were saying is basically a Vegas fan saying cry, but spending $300 to say cry.
There's no
we
way
were
they
saying-
spent $300 on that.
What's that?
No way they spent $300 on that.
Well, it was a Winter Classic jersey, so it was for sure 25% off.
Yeah, they were trying to give that shit away at the Vegas Golden Knights store.
I don't know if that was hand stitched or what. I'll tell you what, Genius
It's
Jackets
also-
would have done a better job.
Yeah.
It's also derivative of what the Tampa Bay Lightning did when they won the Cup during the Kucherov LTIR year, which means, I don't know if you guys can believe this, but like Vegas took something else from another franchise, claimed it as its own, and then improved on it.
Yeah.
Never seen that before.
Vegas is fucking cool though, man. I ride with that team, even though they're in the Pacific with my oil men. But that all comes from that cry thing. We saw it. We didn't know what it meant. We didn't have a puck daddy to fill us in. It was game 2. Obviously, they come back from what? They were down 3-0 in that game, I want to say. They come back, beat the Islanders, and then their social media account tweeted, cry. Islanders fans got really, really mad. And Hurricanes fans, we know what Hurricanes fans are and how they behave. So they loved it, and they wore it as this huge badge of honor. They were like, yeah, our team tweeted, cry, you guys. And they won the series and made shirts that said cry for charity. This will be a first for this show. I did a little ESPN poll myself. 3 out of 3 podcasters in here on board think that's hilarious behavior from the Hurricanes.
Love it.
What do you think?
It is. It is, because and it goes to show that like there are maybe 3 teams in the league that know how to do social media well, and everybody else is a train wreck. And like the Hurricanes have always been one that knows what to do. Like they push back on the storm surge criticism, the Montreal offer sheet thing. Like they were really funny then. Like they've consistently been one of the teams that figured it out and knew how to do it well. And then like, you know, you have 28 teams in the league that try to be, you know, sassy and it comes off as forced and unfunny. And then when the Hurricanes do it, it kind of seems effortless, and it should feel effortless. That's how you know you're doing it right, is that it should feel effortless. And this thing feels like it's effortless.
There's a lot of times where I feel like the Hurricanes are annoying, but they do have a sense of self-awareness where it's like they embrace the us against the world that their fan base fucking loves to talk about. Like the Islanders versus the Hurricanes, it happens every year, but it's essentially the victim bowl, where both those fan bases think that they are the biggest victimized fan base in all of hockey. So
yeah,
I'm glad
but I mean,
at least one of them is leaning into it.
They have shared DNA though. Like they both in the last 15 years were headed to Quebec. Like there's a certain amount of us against the world that's in their DNA, because you've had people around the hockey world that saw them as being unfit to stay in their markets. And that's kind of the basis for a lot of this. In the Islanders case, at least you had people being like, well, it'd be a real shame if they left. And in Carolina's case, it's like, well, what can I pay for a van? You know, like a lot of times in their history. So it definitely stems from, I think, that notion of, you know, us against the world, in the sense that the world doesn't believe that us should exist.
You know what?
Those people in that case, like the world is stupid. Like the Carolina Hurricanes.
Finally, someone uncovers it.
The Carolina Hurricanes are fucking here to stay, and that fan base is insane. I hate them sometimes, but they're amazing.
You know what?
But isn't it? Even to today, though, like, I mean, how many times are we going to read about the Rod Brind'Amour situation, which has now been an annual occurrence there of it's almost a feeling of like Carolina is not worthy of this amazing coach.
Yeah, like
and so we have to send SEAL Team 6 in to rescue Rod Brind'Amour from the clutches of Tom Dundon. You know, it happens every fucking year, and it's happening again.
It's like when is Rod Brind'Amour going to take the next step? When is he going to get a legitimate NHL coaching job?
Get a real
When
job.
Rod
In
Brind'Amour
Seattle.
has been like, if I didn't coach here, I probably wouldn't coach. I don't want to coach anywhere else. Crazy.
And listen, I give full marks to Dundon, man. When he hired Rod Brind'Amour, we all thought the same thing. 1, why? And 2, Dundon was going to have a desk in Brind'Amour's office and basically coach the team himself. And neither of those things were true. Like Brind'Amour's turned out to be an incredible coach, and Dundon's been incredibly hands off with him, I think. So, you know, mea culpa. Like they did a good thing in hindsight.
Who do you think, other than fuck the Rangers, fuck the Avalanche. They had kind of easier series than they were supposed to have, or not the Rangers, whatever. In the West, we'll just say, what team do you think is proving themselves to be most capable of winning the Cup?
My Oilers.
Fuck
You're
yeah. You know what? You are a fucking oil man. You've been an oil man
I am an
forever.
oil
You
man.
predict
That's
them.
right.
You picked them to win the cup this year.
That's right. I
was
take my enemies and I crush their bones into dust. That's exactly
I
right.
was
That's what an
trying
oil
to
man does.
think of an Oilers question, and I was like, you know what? We should get more Western teams. I'll just kind of cast a wide net with Western teams. Fuck yeah. I forgot that you're an oil man.
I picked them to win the cup before the season. I picked them to win the cup before last season too, but this season I meant it. And they're deep and they're good. And Connor and Leon are both healthy. And Stu Skinner, again, is starting to look like the you don't got to win me the series, you just but don't lose me the series goalie that he needs to be for that team. And the LA Kings are not necessarily offensive world beaters. I think we can all agree. But winning a 1-0 game in a grind in Game 4 is the kind of thing that you need to see from the Oilers in order to believe that they can win the cup. And you got to win in a variety of ways. It can't just be let's roll out our 53% effective power play and then go from there in every game. So they're doing things that impress me. They're doing things that portend good things going forward. And their path is pretty good right now, dudes. Like, they can beat the Predators, and if they play Vancouver, it could be without Demko. And so, it's setting up for them well. And then, by the way, whoever they play out of the Central is just going to be like bruised and battered and bloodied by whoever comes out of that Dallas or Vegas versus Colorado series. So it's setting up pretty well for our beloved Oil.
I've been weirdly confident in not stressing the Oilers this postseason because I think that they're just getting out of the Pacific. Like, unless they're almost in like Boston Celtics mode where it's like, all right, this is how far we know you're going to get. Now, what are you going to do with it? And that's generally dicey because we've seen teams that have easy paths find a way to blow it. But realistically, unless something crazy happens, like I think that they can not easily, but decidedly, well, whatever, they can capably beat the Predators or Canucks without me losing a ton of sleep. And it's the conference final that I start to worry.
I think that's fair.
I think that's fair. Yeah. I mean, if Demko comes back, it makes me a little bit more worried. But I do think inherently they're a better team than Vancouver. Vancouver can D him up pretty well too. I think probably better than the Predators can. I think the problem with the Predators is that essentially an Andrew Brunette team, despite all the shot blocking and whatever, they like to play with pace. And if you play with pace, you might play right into the Oilers' hands at some point. But I don't know. We'll see. I think their path sets up the best. I think the Rangers' path is probably second because I do think that maybe it's just my bias of having watched them dismantle the Capitals and watching Carolina play really well, but not overwhelmingly great against the Islanders, that I think the Rangers are probably going to win that series.
I think the Rangers had a fucking first round bye.
Yeah, that's
I don't like. I think that they might be heading into the second round and be like, oh shit, it's the playoffs.
They're
That's
rusty.
Right. Yeah.
Are they rusty from playing?
Not from the rest, just from playing the Capitals. Non-playoff teams.
No gleaning. I can't. So I can't glean with those guys.
That's true. Greg, your one condition was I gotta get out of here before 1 p.m. and I said you'll have plenty of time. Don't worry about it.
And then lo and behold, that got canceled. But
yes, so you've been great. Thank you very much for being generous with your time. We love you. Hope to have you back at some point soon. Go ahead.
Can I give you some flowers real quick?
Sure.
Because I know people have said, I think Liam McHugh said this too, but like, what you're doing is beautiful. I've told this to both of you guys individually. I'll just say on the show, like, the show is great. I'm so happy that something like this exists on a semi-daily basis, and Sean's great. Like, the show's a lot of fun, and it's different, and it's not a bunch of fucking Canadians all jerking each other off about the same shit all the time, and it's good stuff, and I'm happy for the show existing, and I'm happy that you guys have had fun doing it.
Thank you very much. Anybody who can get Girthmaster and Suck Me Off into the same segment and question is an A+ guest by me. So thank you very much.
I can get it into the same search on some websites too, but
absolutely.
Do you think Girthmaster would suck me off? Question mark. Not a bad question to ask. And if you poll anybody going forward, maybe throw that into the poll.
Yeah, we'll put it in our player poll next year.
ESPN asked 5 PHWA writers, do you think Girthmaster would suck me off? And ESPN is no longer voting on awards.
And somehow Sidney Crosby got 54% of the vote. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just happens every year, no matter what the category is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, no matter what the category is, it's Sidney Crosby and it's Brad Marchand.
I mean, honestly,
those are the two.
Sidney Crosby might be the NHL's girth master with his lower body. That man has thickness.
Who is it's who is the NHL's girth master? And it's like Bell Center's ice got 77% of the votes. Just happens every year. I don't know how.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you so much.
Right.
We love you.
I'll talk to you soon, boys.
pal.
See you later.
Bye-bye. You can check out Greg Wyshynski on The Drop and on ESPN. Truly one of the greats. He also does Puck Soup with a lot of our friends, such as Sean McIndoe, Ryan Lambert, all of those wonderful hockey people. And I'll tell you, the most wonderful thing in my life right now is when I wake up in the morning and I say, where's that green powder? Where's that tropical flavor? Where's that non-overpowering, subtle, but delicious scoop I can put into a glass of water, shake it up. I put it in the glass of water. I shake the glass of water. Then I take another scoop, put it into a water bottle,
Splash
fill it up,
around.
tighten the thing, because this first glass of, I've just thrown a glass of water all over the place, so that one's ruined. But I get it into this bottle. They send you the bottle. Do you use your
I
HE?
use my bottle all the time.
I'll tell you what, I use it so much, I don't even always put HE1 in it.
Same.
I use it for straight water.
Call me
It
a
will
newborn
hold-
baby because I am sucking down that bottle.
Yes. You do that?
Yep.
I saw a thing the other day that said Sabrina Carpenter
burp.
is only famous because her aunt is Nancy Cartwright.
Who the fuck is Nancy Cartwright?
She does like all the voices on The Simpsons. She does Bart. She does Maggie. So I had to Google, is Sabrina Carpenter related to the person from The Simpsons? She is. No one fucking knew that, though.
Nobody knew that.
And that's not why Sabrina Carpenter's
No.
famous. Like, they tried to Nepo baby Sabrina Carpenter, which I was like, I'll believe that if she's like the daughter of somebody. I think Nepo baby shit ends when you're talking about your aunt being a voice actor.
Right. If the first question is, if you're facing allegations of being a Nepo baby and the first question is, who is the person that she's supposed to be related to? You're beating the Nepo baby allegations.
Oh, I don't necessarily know. A lot of these people are like, oh, like their dad is somebody that works in whatever. It's like maybe a
Okay,
producer
yeah.
that we've never heard of.
Yeah, okay,
But-
that's fair.
I don't think Sabrina Carpenter was showing up to auditions flashing the like, I've got Simpsons blood. I don't think she was doing that. But I'll tell
don't
you,
see how it can be related.
well, AG1 is the supplement I trust to provide the support my body needs daily. And that's why I'm excited to have them as a partner. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, no ski equipment, and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase exclusively at drinkag1.com/whatchaos. That's drinkag1.com/whatchaos. Hey, check it out.
Yeah, that's right. Today's episode also brought to you by new sponsor alert, Shady Rays. Shady Rays is a sunglasses company that I was unfamiliar with their game, but now I am because Shady Rays sponsor the show. What up? Get ready for the summer season ahead with quality shades built to last. Shady Rays has you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. And that's important because we don't have a lot of money. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. We had the opportunity to peruse the Shady Rays website and pick out some sunglasses that we want. And let me tell you what, that process was very stressful because they have so many fucking sunglasses.
Got choices.
It's a hard thing, very, very hard thing to do, is go through a million different sunglasses options when you can't try them on specifically, because like that's got to be one of the hardest things to shop for online, right? Is glasses and sunglasses.
Shopping for sunglasses is very stressful. I also already own, I'm well known in North America for this, I own a few pairs of sunglasses. So I already own Shady Rays.
Oh.
So when they said, go to the website, peruse some stuff, I said, don't even tell me the website. I probably got it saved.
They also have a shout out to our friends at PXG. They have like golf glasses particularly built for golfing too.
Oh, hell yeah.
Glasses are golfing?
Built for golfing.
Built for golfing. Well,
so they're built to golf.
There are sunglasses that like help you
like arms.
They help you like spot your ball easier.
Yeah, like like the lenses make it. They make like the colors on the course pop more, and they have like increased peripheral vision on the glasses. So when you're doing your swing thing.
Well, I'm telling tales out of school, but when this one's golfing, I sometimes I think he's got drunk goggles on. So I want to take those things off and hit it for real, slice it into the woods again.
We've never golfed together.
Yeah, we were golfing the other day.
Never golfed together. And I don't do that anymore because now I get tons of forgiveness from that other company that sponsors us.
That's true. PXG forgives you.
Yeah, that's right. But enough about PXG because this is a Shady Rays read. And they've got a bunch of different styles and a bunch of different colors. And so, like, if you want to match your sunglasses to your favorite hockey team's jersey, you can do that too, because they got some funky ass glasses in that store.
They have one style where they have like magnetic lenses to them, so you can swap out the lenses and just magnetize them to them. And the way that they're built, you can't tell that they're like magnetic because they look frameless, but they are still magnetic glasses. Shady Ray's got some cool shit going on.
Shady Ray J. Paterka. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. That's right, just for you. You're spoiled. Head to shadyrays.com and use code AC35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. That's AC35 for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. That's AC35 at shadyrays.com for 35% off. That's no small deal.
We are not a political show except when Sean is talking, because Sean forces his politics on people.
Political science minor.
It's
what
just
I do.
His way. He went to Columbia University. You hear about this?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to opt out of this conversation.
I don't know what you want me to say about it.
Sean, you got thoughts?
I've got plenty. I don't know if this is the place for it.
Well, now I feel like it's definitely the place for. Well, I don't want to get canceled in the middle of the playoffs.
All I asked was,
did you hear
about Columbia University? Well,
loaded question.
Here's something that's going on in politics. There is a popular petition going around. Petitions are always political. And this one I found out because the beloved Boston, what would you even call them? Like Celtic rock band? Dropkick Murphys shared this. It is from somebody named Colin Campbell. Not that one, I don't think. There'd be bias there. It's a petition to Don Sweeney. That's the Bruins general manager.
It's directly to Don Sweeney?
It says to Don Sweeney.
I don't think Don Sweeney handles what they're asking him to handle.
No, but I would say that he has the power to handle it if he...
I disagree. If Don Sweeney... All right, so this petition is about changing the Bruins goal song. We'll get to the details, but like if Don Sweeney went to the Bruins and was like, hey, I think we should change the goal song, respectfully, I think the answer would be, why don't you do your fucking job?
Yeah, I think that that's like it's not going to be what gets you fired, but it's once there's word around the building that it's like, Don's trying to get the aux cord.
Don Sweeney's fingerprints are all over.
You don't have the aux cord, my guy.
No. Yeah, no, that's a big stay in your lane kind of situation.
Exactly. Yeah, like you're paying people to do, or your boss is paying people to do their job. Let them do their job.
Especially with the Bruins. The Bruins in recent years have become one of the best game presentation and like overall social media presence. They have become one of the best like identity teams in the entire National Hockey League.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. The petition is to Don Sweeney, make the Dropkick Murphys, The Boys Are Back, the Boston Bruins goal song. It says the current Bruins goal song has been the goal song for 20 years. It's time for a new song. That song should be The Boys Are Back by the Dropkick Murphys in bold. Why is this important? back to regular font. Zombie Nation has seen us through a lot of good times, and it's just time to let it go. That's what you say. We've had some good times.
That's
Time
like,
to let it
Are
go.
they euthanizing their grandparent? We've had a lot of good times, but time to let them go.
Like Jack and Renee, it'll live in the history of the garden. That sounds like they wrote it as though like they don't have the rights to Jack Edwards and Renee Rancourt. It will still get played for special occasions, like when the Bruins come out on the ice to Audio Slave instead of AC/DC. We are sort of giving Zombie Nation a promotion in a way. This seems more like this is being sent to the Zombie Nation people.
They're being very careful.
To the Bruins, being like, look, it's great. This is you know what? We're not firing the coach. We're kicking him upstairs.
Yeah.
They're trying to kick Zombie Nation upstairs and instead give the microphone to The Boys Are Back by Dropkick Murphys. I'm not going to cast any aspersions about Dropkick Murphys. When I was younger, I loved a lot of their songs. I don't listen to them regularly now. This song, The Boys Are Back, we cannot play for you, but we will endearingly say, just imagine the Dropkick Murphys. Imagine a song called The Boys Are Back. It goes exactly how you thought it would go. It's a very aggressive, very excited yell of...
Not only are the boys are back.
The boys are back and they're looking for trouble.
That's right. Also, by the way, Greg Wyshynski in the chat, I thought this was correct, but I didn't want to say it without full knowledge. He does the drop with Arda, but he no longer does Puck Soup because ESPN won't let him.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah.
I thought that he just did it anyway. So
sorry, Greg. We thought you were a badass.
Yeah, that you had the energy of like, oh wait, maybe yeah. I mean, he doesn't do Puck Soup anymore. It's an audio only podcast. There's no way of telling who's who.
That's right.
He does a he just does a I don't know. He brings on like Sean Gentile and does a Sean Gentile voice or something.
He appears every once in a while, and they play the Boy Is Back by the Dropkick Murphys.
A- behavior grade on ESPN's part for that. Although shout out ESPN's timer thing to say when they're coming back. We've
so nice.
done a lot of shitting on ESPN this postseason, and when they do a good job at something, I think that we should also give them flowers. When Pete and I were discussing The Boys Are Back, Sean, of all fucking people, was like, yo, everyone fucking knows that song.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. This song was released a decade ago. Like it was in an NHL video game.
Yeah,
it's like
so
an
it's
incredibly
new.
basic hockey song for a team that's
It's
like
not a hockey song.
I
It's
mean,
just like a general. I guess it is. A hockey
It's
song.
also
a hockey
new Dropkick Murphys. A song that was released 10 years ago by Dropkick Murphys is new Dropkick Murphys.
it was
So
in an
that's-
NHL video game a decade ago.
It was
you-
big. It was big around the NHL when the lockout ended. They
Yeah.
used that song a lot.
And it's just like why you're an original six franchise. You're gonna make a basic ass hockey song that's a decade old.
It's also like it's not a good goal song.
No.
Like all I can imagine is the Bruins being down 5-0 in a game. They get on the board late in the third period, and you have to fucking sing "The Boys Are Back."
Yeah.
Horrible.
Could you imagine Game 7, 2019? Bruins are down 3-0,
Oh
4-0
my
or whatever.
God.
Matt Grzelcyk mercifully scores a goal in the final minutes. The boys are back. The boys are back.
That's got Major doing the wave when you're down energy. It's just like what are we
it's-
doing here?
It kind of illuminates the difference between a good goal song and a good song. Like
Yeah.
I don't mind that song whatsoever, but it's sort of like the Hall & Oates thing when the Leafs made "You Make My Dreams" their goal song. People got sick of that. That's one of the most beloved songs ever. People got sick of that song as a goal song very quickly.
I think you could take the ice to that song.
That's what I was gonna
Yeah.
say. Like that's the song has that specifically said before the show. It's the song you play when they're coming back onto the ice after the first intermission.
So that's what
it's when the boys are returning from something.
Yeah.
Yes. Literally that. The boys are back.
Yes, from their 18-minute break.
I do think the Bruins need to do a nice little refresh on their goal song. Not even in the right neighborhood. This suggestion.
How many signatures do you think this has?
2,500.
I mean, if the Dropkick Murphys shared it,
Not true.
probably 2,500.
Dropkick Murphys are probably having a lot of people do what I did, which is I saw this Dropkick Murphys thing. I saw this from the Dropkick Murphys. And yeah, I did a little show about it. but I did not sign this.
Yeah.
So I'm not alone in that because this has 731 signatures.
Also,
What are
something
they
I feel
looking
like
for?
They're looking for 800.
it has how many?
They're
signatures?
close.
Yeah.
Do they think
700,
800
you
is
said?
enough
That's
to?
what I was gonna say. If I'm the Bruins and I see a petition with 800 signatures, I'm politely telling you to go fuck yourself. That doesn't do it.
And also,
Not
if you
switching
need
a song for
if you need
800
800
signatures,
signatures from Dropkick Murphys fans, literally go to a small Dropkick Murphys show. They have fucking 800 dudes just fucking jammed in there.
Yeah.
They strike me as a way over capacity kind of performance group. All their music videos are a bunch of guys that are kind of smashed in each other.
Yeah. I don't know how much I would subscribe to them like being way over capacity, and this might be mean. I think a lot of their fan base oversized.
Oh,
They have a lot of big guys.
they do have massive suck me off 69 jersey energy. to
Yes.
them.
So
Yeah.
those guys are, yeah. So I was going to say, because of the suck me off guy, I think we should be careful to not regularly fall into the, hey,
Stereotyping.
that's a fat person thing. Like when
I
the
didn't say
person
anything about
said,
size.
when the person said the suck me off thing was a fat person thing, they were scientifically correct.
They were-
If I get in
And-
trouble for that, then so be it. I think there are a lot of bigger Dropkick Murphys. It's either like I think there might be like an average size that's in the middle because I think there's probably like a lot of bigger fans
really
and
skinny
really
and
skinny
5'11".
ones.
They've
Really
got-
skinny and 5'11".
Yes.
they're a cold weather band. Like they are a band for people who winter comes, they're wearing jackets.
bulking season.
They don't need to care as much.
That's
Like it's
right.
just they're very Boston. They're very Northeast. The thing that I think you might have mentioned that is the craziest part about this to me is them sharing it. Like it's one thing if the fans are like, if it's a genuine grassroots thing, but if you are the Dropkick Murphys being like, you know what, you're right, we should be their goal song. That's weird energy.
Yeah.
I think the Dropkick Murphys, like, they've had a lot. They've had like their moment in the Boston sports scene, and they've been fucking huge in the Boston sports
They'll
scene.
forever be there.
For me, I think they're above sharing this petition.
Yes.
Agreed.
Not amazing behavior, but I don't know. We've at least put it on your radar. So
It's
listeners, if this is something that has been a cause for you and you haven't been able to vote on it yet, you now have that option.
Can we start a petition to make Greedy their goal song or any Tate McRae song?
No.
Oh, so I was gonna.
Not seriously.
I was wondering how we could make this about us.
That's what I was. Yeah,
And
that's what I was getting.
So
at.
we could counter sue this petition, basically submit our own, try to cuck them, or
Carly Rae Jepsen.
when Gloria
Now
was
we're talking.
having a moment with the "Oh my God, Cut to the Feeling" would be the best
Oh,
fucking goal
yeah.
song. Cut to the Feeling
Bruins
would
fans
be,
would hate it, but it would be the best.
Cut to the Feeling would be the best fucking goal song. But when Gloria was having its moment with the St. Louis Blues, Pete and I decided like this is so cool what they're doing. Let's just decide that this is a Bruins thing now. So we started playing
Talk
it for
about
Bruins stuff, and then fucking Blues fans got mad at us. So then I recorded a song that I made up that was intentionally like not very good and called it Gloria and said, "Here, you guys can have this song now. Now we each have a Gloria and we get the good one." And a lot of people got mad, and Barstool Sports incorrectly thought that Gloria by Laura Branigan was a Bruins song.
That's
It was
the
the
best.
fucking best. What's a version of that we can do for this? Can we do should we do a cover of The Boys Are Back and submit that song is
We should do a cover of the Rangers goal song. But don't they have, like, or just do our own Olay. I know that's not really their goal song, but
We should make the opera version of
You're
La Bamba.
just,
the
you're just
Bruins
very
goal song.
focused on
stealing shit.
making something Canadian and giving it to, or taking something Canadian and giving it to the Bruins.
Yeah.
Carly Rae Jepsen and then like Olay
I
and the
didn't
Montreal Canadiens.
Even
song.
realize that Carly Rae Jepsen was Canadian, to be honest. But
Oh, really? Oh,
What?
yeah. She's like the pride of Canada.
I don't like. I say this as respectfully as possible. Do not care about Carly Rae Jepsen.
What the fuck?
I know. Like I just don't.
How
It's
much have
just
you
like
how
you-
much have you looked into Carly Rae Jepsen?
I haven't. Really, that's what I'm saying. Like
So
it's
that's
not a
the
negative
problem.
thing. It's not a negative thing about her.
You're
I just
ignorant.
like don't care. Yeah.
You should care. Carly Rae Jepsen fucking rules.
I've heard. You've talked about her a bunch.
Last album not so great, but like the 3 before that, oh baby.
and my best
Much better than anything Taylor Swift.
My
put out
best
recently.
friend in the world, his like 2 favorite things are There Will Be Blood and Carly Rae Jepsen. So
Man of taste.
I love There Will Be Blood. So I'm sure I would like Carly Rae Jepsen. It's just never.
I mean, this
Something
is
done.
There Will Be. I'm literally wearing a There Will Be Blood custom made shirt, and he literally has a Carly Rae Jepsen custom made shirt.
I love that because it is obviously custom made, but like if you don't know, there's nothing about that shirt that is like explicitly Oilers. So if you're not a hockey person, you'd be like, oh, I like There Will Be Blood too. Cool. I don't remember him having an orange hat, but cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
Just make it a little more burnt orange.
Burnt orange,
you, baby. We're getting some really good suggestions, by the way, for what we should do for what these for what should be played at certain. Somebody said that they should play "Boy Problems" by Carly Rae Jepsen when a team pulls their goalie. Amazing, or yanks them. I would say
that's a good song to play for like too many men on the ice. You got just too many boys.
Boy Problems, yeah. Oh no, well that one you'd have to do Beach House. Because it's just like listing off like, oh, I met this guy and I met this guy and there was this guy. He wasn't supposed to be on the ice. I got this bald guy that can't even count. I got all these guys. Yeah, dude, Carly Rae Jepsen's really good.
I want Paramore to be more of a hockey band. I feel like hockey could embrace Paramore.
Has no one done Misery Business as a goal song?
Like, yeah,
that's
right?
got huge goal song. It explodes.
Yeah.
All right. Was that the show?
Haley Williams.
All right. Let's do a Slate Grade. We forgot to do one at some point this week. I can just raw dog it. I don't even need to look. Let's do a Slate Grade presented by... I got some dental work done today. I don't know what's going on in my mouth right now. I've said so many fucking phallic things.
I know.
This show, I apologize. But the Slate
DJ
Grade...
met the Girthmaster and had to get dental work done.
Yep. Presented by Game Time. Slate Grade. There are 2 games at 7:30 p.m. U.S. The Golden Knights will visit the Stars for Game 5. And at 10 p.m. U.S., the Kings visit the Oilers for Game 5. Stars Vegas is 2-2. Oilers Kings is 3-1. This is the best slate in NHL history. Full stop. It's an A. Fucking amazing. There's not too much going on. There's definitely not too little going on. If you were to add one, like if the Rangers and Capitals had a Game 5 tonight, get the fuck out of my face. I wouldn't watch a second of it. And I'd be so mad that that the Stars and the Knights were pushed back later. An awesome game in the best series so far at 7:30, followed by Oilers at 10. Oh my God, the best.
Yeah, I mean, the only downside to teams getting, I guess not the only downside, it sucks that like a lot of teams are being bounced early, but like 2 games on a slate has to be like an A+. I mean, like if we're picking 2 games, it's these 2. I'm very happy about the selection, very happy about the structure, giving Dallas the early start.
Oh my!
Supreme behavior.
There's no reason it should ever be later than that.
Supreme behavior. And I know I've talked to Dallas fans. Dallas fans are very upset that they get constantly thrown into like
West,
like worse time zones or later time zones.
Oilers fans get mad that they get.
They're the same. They're directly north of it, basically.
Are the Oilers off by 2 hours from us?
I don't know.
I have no idea where Edmonton is.
Geographically, they are like central, north of like Wisconsin.
That is the thing about Edmonton.
It'll
get you
central.
I have to look up very often for an Oilers
Edmonton
fan
and
where
Winnipeg.
Edmonton is.
No fucking clue.
No, actually, I think I might be wrong. I think I'm confusing Winnipeg. Winnipeg is directly north of like Wisconsin, Minnesota.
I'm pretty sure that Edmonton is a little
further west.
Edmonton is out. Edmonton's
in
near
between
Calgary.
Winnipeg and Vancouver.
Famously, it's in Alberta.
Yes,
where Calgary is.
Winnipeg is in Manitoba, and that is central, which kind of blew my mind earlier this year when we discovered that, and it also blew Pat McAfee's mind.
Whoa,
Pat McAfee might have killed the Jets.
It blew his mind. It froze AJ Hawk's screen. He was like,
I honestly do think that Pat McAfee might have jinxed the Jets. It's either Pat McAfee or Jesse Pollock's fault, because both of them after the game 1, they were way in on the Jets, 2 in on the Jets, and then since then, Jets got sucked off.
Somebody said geography is like rocket science to these guys.
I'm a huge geography guy.
We can definitely say Sean is better at geography than us.
100%.
I love geography. It's like one of my favorite things in the world. Because it doesn't change. If you know it, it's like the capital's still the capital. The states are in the same place.
Yeah, that's not true.
Geography
That's
doesn't
not
change
true. Borders change.
Yeah, not frequently.
Wait till there's a war.
Yeah, I was going to say there can be revolutions. You ever hear what the Velvet Revolution is?
No.
That was Czech Republic. That was Czechoslovakia breaking up, I think, dissolving.
The Velvet
Revolution.
Also, I feel like
way too sexy of a name for a revolution.
I'd drape myself in velvet.
It's very European. Yeah, if it were socially acceptable,
Yes.
you drape yourself in velvet.
Nice. Good job.
Yeah, I'm not
Good
too worried
reference.
about our borders changing.
Oh, famous last words, brother.
I mean, John's
John's the political guy.
because we haven't
You're
had
usually
borders change
talking
in a
about
while.
how you're worried about the borders.
Map
Okay.
Rampy.
We haven't had borders change in a while, and famously, the one civil war that we did have here, they tried to leave, and we took their ass back. The borders didn't really change.
But you were saying that you
Okay.
wanted them to build a wall.
Yeah, in northern.
First of all, who is them?
I'm tired of these fucking Canadians coming over.
You were very confident though in saying that we wouldn't have to pay for it,
Mm-hmm.
and you were
Canadians have plenty
You
of
said
money.
at the end when they give us the bill for the wall, we're gonna cross out the price and then write our own price.
Alex Morello.
That would be so funny if Trump went about shit like Alex Morello.
I mean,
I
that
feel
is
like Alex
100%
Morello
believable.
definitely goes about it like Donald Trump.
Yes.
They don't help each other.
Morello read Art of the Deal, and he's like that.
Yeah, that's 100% true.
All right. Well, thank you to Greg Wyshynski for joining us. Thank you to the NHL for setting such a great slate. We will discuss these beautiful games tomorrow. And don't forget, we also have Friday episodes this week. If you have not yet subscribed to What Chaos on YouTube, do it. And I believe I have forgotten to
You sure have
remind
forgotten. You forgot to remind me. It's like spike time. Before we get out of here, hit that thumbs up below the video player. Thumbs up, thumbs up. Give us likes, give us likes. Please, more likes, more likes. Give us likes. Let's see how high those numbers go. And if you want to subscribe, please subscribe. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We need it. We're desperate. Please
And
subscribe.
even if you don't want to, still do it.
yeah, yeah.
Do something. It's not always about doing everything you want to do.
I'm a huge, like, if you ask me to subscribe, like if I'm watching YouTube and they're like, subscribe, I'm going to be like, why would I not?
Rare behavior.
There is literally.
It costs you nothing.
It costs
It's
you
easy.
nothing. And it doesn't.
Just
It's not
one
like
click.
it does anything. It's not like it's invasive in any way.
Yeah. And if you want to subscribe and ignore us for the rest of the time,
That's
you,
what I'm
you
saying.
can do it.
Right.
Just give us a
We'll-
subscription.
Exactly.
We'll take
Please.
that. Please.
We're so desperate.
It would make us so happy.
Just a crumb of subscription, please.
I'll tell you what. Now we're gonna extend this for another fucking 3 minutes because of this. My version of that, I don't really do it anymore. I used to be an automatic Instagram like. If you post a picture of yourself, I used to be an automatic like, hey, you know what? It takes a
Good for
certain
you.
amount of confidence and vulnerability to like put yourself out there. So like if you just took a picture of you like reading a book, automatically I'm gonna like it.
I
And then
appreciate that.
like culture became too weird. And then I would see like people liking stuff and everything. And I was just like, I'm not going to like anything anymore.
Yeah, you got to impress me. I just usually don't give a shit about what you're doing in your life. Not like you specifically, but in general, I'm just like, I don't give a shit. Why am I?
So
I don't
you're
like. I don't really
like this.
I don't really use Instagram all that much because I'm just like,
Sean
Who gives
yelling
a
at
shit?
people that he follows, being like, "Why the fuck you on my timeline?
well, first
Get
off,
out of here."
that's not how Instagram works anymore. It's mostly
That's-
people I don't follow.
That's true.
And even then, it's just like
Some
I don't
funny
give a shit
reels
about
out
your
there, though.
dinner in
One
New
of
York City.
my friends' wives made an
Oh, man.
Instagram account for their dog and started, or it was it was Facebook and started
A
friending.
Facebook account
A
for their dog.
Facebook
That's
account
think
for
it
your
was for-
dog?
I will say
Instagram is very normal.
This
for
was
that.
like
I am
100
friends
years
with the
ago.
dog. I am friends with the dog on Facebook. There was like a very popular dog on Syracuse's campus that like friended everybody, and it was awesome because they would like wish you happy birthday. And I was like, I don't know.
It
I
wasn't
don't
the
even,
dog, Sean.
Well, I don't even know, but I'm saying I don't even know who the dog was. Like I had
Do
never
you
met
even
the
know
dog.
if it was a dog.
I never met the dog or its owner, so I don't really know why they friended me on Facebook, but they would wish me happy birthday. Then the dog died, and that was like the saddest thing ever. I was not like it was a relationship I didn't even try to make, and then it forced its way into my life, and then I went on Facebook one day, and the dog was dead.
Sean, did you even consider the possibility it could have been a person catfishing you?
No, it was a dog. There was videos of the dog.
And
Tweeting,
somehow we
posting.
always get back to fucking dead dog.
You
chat.
think it could have been a dog? Anyway, my friend, this was like 10 years ago. I think it was before Instagram was happening or whatever. And she friended a bunch of us. And one of our good friends did not accept the friend request. And I asked him why. And he said, I'm not friends with that dog. I was so jealous of that behavior because I was like, yeah, I'm not friends with that dog either.
That's awesome.
Well, at least with a dog, if I just see a picture of a dog, there's like even if marginal, like a positive reaction to it. I'm like, oh, cute dog. If it's a person, I'm just like, oh, Fuck
We
that.
never
I
got
don't
into
give a shit.
DJ wants to adopt a certain dog, and
I'm thinking about a dog.
Can we do
and
like a?
it is like the saddest, most existential dread looking dog I've ever seen in
It
my
looks
life.
very worried.
And
Oh, yeah.
it is the best, and I need you to do it.
I mean,
to
we could
adopt
do
it.
like a class pet. We're just like every week is somebody else's dog.
Oh, if I got that dog, I'd bring it here pretty
I've
regularly.
been thinking about bringing Summer in here, but I can't because there's just too many wires.
Yeah.
and too many expensive
I'm
things.
also very allergic to dogs.
Oh,
but
right. So.
I'll get over it.
All right.
That was the second time in show history I caught myself in I was like giving you a little glare, and the other time was at the Super Bowl when we forgot
When I forgot the SD cards.
The
I appreciate
SD
you saying we, but I
card
forgot the SD card.
after I'd given a speech about like, hey, no matter what, no matter how, we're gonna go in here.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to embarrass the three of us. But all that matters is we're all trying.
Yeah.
And then like 1 second later, you were like, I forgot this thing. And it was like,
That was the angriest I've ever seen you silently. Well, I guess you did say you said one word. You said, "What?"
Yeah.
I know, no way. I didn't like snap or say anything rude. I think I was like supportive.
There was definitely a moment of like, oh, you fucked us here.
Yeah.
And then you stopped.
I think that you snapped a
I
little
let it
bit
get away from
more.
me?
I don't think you let it. I mean, no, you were
was
way
more
more
worried.
composed than like you would have. If you would have freaked out on me, I would have completely understood it. You didn't. I think there was definitely like I said it, and you were like, what? And then you like everyone kind of stopped for a little bit, and then you like put your hand on my shoulder, and you're like,
Yeah,
it was you're harder on yourself.
you
than
didn't
we can be.
snap,
Yeah, like-
but like your worry and
Yeah, it was very
and,
odd, like-
and like disappointment came out pretty sharply.
Yeah, I mean,
What?
it was definitely like both of you. I was just like, I've let you guys down here.
So that's a weird thing. And I think humans do this sometimes. Like if I had fucked something up and like you were pissed at me or something, and maybe we'd have it out or whatever, but the whole time I would totally understand. I'd be like, it's pretty reasonable that person would be pissed there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100. I don't
If
think I don't think either one of us like was like, damn, what's DJ's problem?
No,
I think it was very understood.
I don't think you were like. I don't think DJ was like demonstrably like angrier than you.
No.
Like you both were clearly just like,
Fuck.
Yeah, that was the
oh
energy.
god,
Fuck.
yeah. And I was just like, I'm gonna burn this building to the ground, take us all down with it.
Shout out to All City coming in through the clutch and
that's
providing
the nice part
backup
about being
support.
part of the collective.
Yeah, the other side of that though is like if like I am like mad at somebody in the moment, I don't really give myself that like, hey, we all feel feelings. It's okay to be mad for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Or whatever. Afterwards, I'm like if I were to have like yelled at you, I would have felt like an asshole for 100
Well,
years.
yeah,
Yet
because-
if you yelled at me, I would have been like, yeah, cool.
I feel like we've had a couple of these moments where you're like with the I distinctly remember when I lost my credential in Toronto for the All-Star game. We were in Vegas after that. And we picked up credentials, and you made a comment about how like you were gonna make no. We were kind of giving ourselves a hard time because we couldn't find the door. And I think like you thought we were kind of making fun of you for it or whatever. And you were like, I wouldn't make fun of Sean I was going to make a comment about Sean not having his credential or whatever. And I was like, oh, you're totally within your right to do that. Like I fucked up and I lost my credential. Totally can make fun of me for not having my credential or like losing track of my credential. So I'm very much like, listen, I fucked up. There's nothing. I'm the
all
last
survived.
person that can say,
We all survived. We're stronger
Relax.
for it. We're better for it.
yeah. That's what I said
Sean's
the other
never
day.
fucked up. He's a
Never.
perfect little angel.
Chat makes a good point. We already have a team dog, and it's Johnny Lazarus.
Mm.
So
Yes, that's true. What would you say if I brought a sad little dog around here? You just have to say hello,
Can we get a dog and name him Johnny?
hi, Laz.
Johnny.
Yeah. Or Laz.
Yeah, Johnny Lazarus.
Yes.
And then make
Johnny
Laz get a new
Lazarus
name.
Jr. Make it Junior. Or the second.
No, we could tell him you could put an H in your name because he
Yeah,
got mad. We
right.
always misspell his name.
Yeah.
We can make his okay.
Johnny with an H.
Tomorrow, Oilers winning the series recap. What do we do when the Oilers advance to round 2? Manscaped has sent me stuff to turn into an oil man, so maybe I'll do that.
Oilers
But-
guest tomorrow?
Yeah, maybe.
Suit show? Just
Sucho.
Full oil man show?
Yes. It's going to be incredible, whatever it is. All right.
Back to
Instinct's
noon
good.
tomorrow. Don't
Yes.
forget. Late show tomorrow, noon o'clock. Okay, see you then.
Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.